Well, welcome to this week's episode of Car Confessions. We've got a very, very hard-hitting episode today, and it is, how can I eat so much food and not gain a ton of weight? This is something that I get asked in Instagram in my direct messages a lot, and sometimes here on Facebook, but not as often, because I tend to share my meals and snacks more frequently in my Instagram stories, so people over there get a better idea of how much food I'm really eating. And the answer is usually quite a lot. So there's a few reasons I can eat a lot of food and not gain a bunch of weight. Number one, I'm 5'9", so I am taller than the average North American female. Those inches add up. For every inch in height, you have to eat more food in order to survive. It's simple as that. Number two, I'm not super tiny. I spent the last 3 or 4 years really focusing on repairing my body after having overtraining syndrome and getting super underweight and using all of my muscle tissue for energy back in those days of 17 to 19 fitness classes a week. So I've really been focused more on rebuilding and less on my size. This year I did do a fat loss cycle back earlier in the year, in the winter, and lost a bunch of fat, and I'm going to do another one in the fall. But other than that, I'm not super tiny, but I have quite a bit of muscle, and muscle is expensive to keep around. It's not the sort of thing that you can just eat willy-nilly and maintain your muscle mass. You need to eat specific amounts of protein. You need to eat enough carbohydrates to support your activity level in order to keep your muscle, in order to keep your energy level up. Which brings me to the third reason I can eat so much. I'm a fitness instructor. I exercise for a living, so I burn a lot of calories. I'm tall, I've got a lot of muscle, and I do a lot of activity. So of course I can eat a lot. But that doesn't mean that if you're short and tiny, you don't need to eat a lot. A lot of really ripped, athletic females and men who are short, like 5 foot, 5'1" or less, eat more than I do in the run of a day because they have a considerable amount of muscle and they are doing more heavy lifting and power lifting and things like that. If you want to eat more food without gaining weight, first of all, you should be worried less about weight and more about not gaining fat, because you could put on weight and all that weight could be muscle mass and you could be losing fat at the same time, and so your weight may go up, but you could actually be fitter and smaller. So don't get caught up in the scale, people. But if you want to be able to eat more food without worrying about gaining weight, start lifting heavy weights on a regular basis, eating adequate protein. You'll put on muscle. That muscle is expensive to keep, and you will be able to burn more all day long, even when you're not lifting weights. So that is the secret, which is not a secret at all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.